Across the rice fields of Vietnam, enormous flocks of ducks spend their days roaming freely in search of food. But every morning, before the flock heads back into the fields, the farmers have another job to do. Somewhere among thousands of ducks are the eggs laid during the night. And collecting them all is not as simple as it might seem. So how do farmers keep track of all these eggs when their ducks spend much of the day roaming across open rice fields? And how do they manage a laying flock this large, day after day? To understand that, we have to follow the flock through an entire day. Unlike ducks kept in a small enclosure, these birds spend much of their day moving through open fields and waterways. Once the morning routine is finished, the flock is released together, and thousands of ducks begin another day of foraging. Instead of staying in one place, they follow the feeding areas available around them, while the farmers stay close enough to keep the flock together. Out in the rice fields, the ducks spend hours searching for food as they move across the landscape. But managing a flock this large isn't simply a matter of opening a gate and letting them go. The farmers have to know where the ducks are feeding, where they're heading next, and eventually, how to bring thousands of them back together again. By late in the day, the flock will eventually have to come back. Because while the ducks may spend their daylight hours roaming through fields and waterways, the most important part of tomorrow's story begins after they return. That's when thousands of laying ducks settle in for the night, and by morning, the farmers will have something waiting for them. This is one of the most interesting parts of raising free-range laying ducks. During the day, thousands of birds may spread across rice fields and waterways, sometimes covering a surprisingly large area. But eventually, the farmers have to bring the flock back together. Keeping the ducks in a controlled resting area makes the next part of the routine much easier. Because by the time the farmers return to collect, something has changed. Among thousands of ducks are the eggs they've been waiting for. Some are easy to spot. Others can blend into the ground or remain hidden around the resting area. And with a flock this large, finding a few eggs isn't difficult. The real challenge is working through the entire area and collecting as many as possible. There's no complicated machine doing the searching here. Much of it comes down to experience, careful observation, and a lot of hands-on work. And now, the morning collection can begin. Once the collection begins, the work moves quickly. The farmers make their way through the resting area, gathering the egg section by section. What starts with just a few soon becomes baskets filled with the morning's collection. But speed isn't everything. Eggs can be easy to damage, especially when so many are being handled at once. Every basket has to be filled and moved carefully before the farmers continue searching. For a flock this large, this isn't just about finding eggs. It's about repeating the same simple process again and again until the entire area has been covered. And even when the baskets begin to fill, the job isn't necessarily finished. There may still be eggs in places that are much easier to miss. Even after most of the eggs have been collected, the farmers still have one more job to do. They go back through the resting area, checking the places that are easiest to overlook. With thousands of ducks moving through the same space, not every egg ends up somewhere obvious. A careful second look can make the difference between leaving eggs behind and completing the morning's collection. This is where experience matters. After doing the same job day after day, farmers learn where to look and which areas deserve a little more attention. Eventually, the search comes to an end. The ducks have done their part, the farmers have done theirs, and now the morning's eggs are ready to move on. But their journey doesn't end here. Once the search is finished, the morning's collection is brought together. After all that work, the scale of the harvest finally becomes easier to see. From here, the eggs have to be handled carefully and prepared for whatever comes next. With so many collected at once, even a simple task becomes a process that has to be repeated again and again. For the farmers, this is just another part of the morning routine. But for the eggs, the journey is only beginning. Because not every egg collected here will necessarily follow the same path. Once the eggs leave the resting area, their journey begins to take a different direction. Some will eventually make their way to market, where they are displayed and sold as food. It's the most familiar destination for an egg, but it's not the only one. Other eggs may have a very different future. Instead of going to market, eggs selected for hatching are placed into incubators, where the right conditions allow a new generation of ducks to begin developing. And that's what makes this part of the process so interesting. The eggs collected from one flock can leave the farm on completely different journeys. Some are destined for the market, while others may eventually hatch and become part of the next generation. From thousands of laying ducks in the field, to baskets of eggs collected by hand, and eventually to the beginning of another flock, the cycle continues. But while those eggs move on, the adult ducks still have an entire day ahead of them. For the adult flock, the day is only getting started. Managing thousands of laying ducks means keeping an enormous number of birds moving, feeding, and healthy day after day. But these ducks don't spend their entire day waiting for food to be brought to them. Once the flock is released, the surrounding fields become part of their feeding ground. Harvested rice fields can give the ducks opportunities to forage as they move, searching through the fields for food left behind along the way. For the farmers, that makes choosing where the flock goes next an important part of the daily routine. And with thousands of ducks, one feeding area won't serve the flock forever. Eventually, they have to keep moving. But first, it's time to let them out. And then the gates open. Within moments, thousands of ducks begin moving together, leaving the resting area behind and heading back into the countryside. This is where the flock seems completely different. What looked crowded just moments ago begins to spread out across open fields and waterways, with thousands of birds moving almost like one enormous living wave. For the farmers, this is another familiar part of the day. For everyone else, it's an incredible sight to watch. If you enjoy seeing thousands of ducks raised this way, leave a Y in the comments. And once the flock reaches the open fields, the search for food begins all over again. A flock this large can't depend on the same feeding area forever. As conditions change and the ducks work their way through what's available, the farmers may eventually have to move them again. Sometimes that means guiding thousands of ducks across fields, muddy paths, and along the edges of waterways. And when the next feeding area is farther away, boats can become part of the journey. Moving thousands of ducks takes time, but it gives the flock access to different areas instead of keeping every bird in one place. For these farmers, following the available feeding grounds is simply part of managing free-range ducks on this scale. And wherever the flock goes, someone has to go with them. Behind every flock, this large are farmers whose daily lives move right along with the ducks. Their mornings can begin with collecting eggs, but the work doesn't stop there once the flock heads out. The farmers follow watching where the ducks feed, keeping thousands of birds together, and guiding them whenever it's time to move again. Some days are spent walking along rice fields. Others take them onto the waterways, traveling with the flock as it moves through the countryside. It's repetitive work, but it also requires patience and experience. When you're responsible for thousands of animals, even a simple move can become a major job. And perhaps that's the most interesting part of this way of farming. The farmers aren't just taking care of the flock. Their daily routine is built around it. If you respect the work these farmers do every day, leave an 8 in the comments. And as the day begins to come to an end, there's still one more job waiting. The entire flock has to come back together. As the day winds down, the flock begins its journey back. Thousands of ducks that spent the day spread across fields and waterways now have to be gathered together once again. Little by little, the farmers guide them away from the feeding grounds and back toward the resting area. And this brings the day almost full circle. The eggs collected this morning have already moved on, while the adult flock settles in after another day outside. For the farmers, tomorrow will bring much of the same routine. The flock will need to be checked, the eggs collected, and thousands of ducks will eventually head back into the fields once again. Tonight the ducks rest, and by morning the entire cycle begins again. From the first eggs collected in the morning to thousands of ducks roaming the rice fields, every part of this routine is connected. For the farmers, it's another day of work. For the flock, it's a cycle that continues again and again. Tomorrow morning, there will be more eggs to collect, more ducks to guide, and another day in the fields waiting to begin. Thanks for spending the day with us here on Lam-farmer. If you enjoyed this journey, subscribe and join us for the next farming story.